Welcome back, guys. It's Fantasy Football Anonymous here with our favorite fantasy plays for Week 8. Rob, who are some of the guys that you love Week 8?
Well, as if I needed to tell you guys, Carson Wentz. I'm all over the Eagles. Shockingly, I didn't think this was going to be their year. But go up against the San Francisco defense. I mean, what more do I have to say? He's a must start. He's a safe bet to be top 5 this week. I said it earlier. I like LaShawn McCoy. Finally got going. I think Buffalo realizes they have to get him involved. They have to get him involved as much as they can without wearing him out. We saw a little bit of Tolbert, but they leaned more heavily on LaShawn McCoy. Not a very good defense. I see McCoy getting his yards and perhaps getting into the end zone. I think they like him when they get to the red zone. They realize that, giving it to Tolbert, doing these throws maybe isn't the best idea. I like Amari Cooper as well. Buffalo's secondary is a little banged up. And finally, we saw Amari Cooper emerge, Derek Carr looking healthier. I think he's a safe pick for this game. I think he's going to have a lot of catches and probably reach the end zone. Even if he doesn't, I feel like he's probably going to get you that 100 yards, at least 10 points if he doesn't get in the end zone. So I love Amari Cooper. And Jordan Reed, apparently he's alive. And going up against a Dallas secondary, Schroeder, you said it earlier, he got targeted a lot. I think that was one of the strengths of the Washington offense last week. I think you can start him now. I mean, you're always starting him, but I feel like now I feel really good about starting him, especially against a favorable matchup. Schroeder, you think he's gonna put up just as good of a week as last week?
I'm not sure he's putting up just as good as week, but I actually also have him on my love list as my tight end, Rob. So we're definitely in agreement there. For quarterbacks this week, Phillip Rivers. Going against New England, that is a cure for everyone there. For running backs, I love Melvin Gordon. Again, pretty much start all your Chargers. He's also going against New England. And for wide receivers, I'm going to be picking Kelvin Benjamin. He's going against Tampa Bay after a really bad week that the Panthers just had against the Chicago Bears. I'm looking for them to bounce back pretty hard and for Kelvin Benjamin to have a nice game. Joe. Who are you really loving this week?
I was waiting for you to finish on a tight end.
I already said Jordan Reed.
Okay, that's right. I got a bit confused there. You and I love the same guy at quarterback this week, Phillip Rivers. I think he stays hot. He's able to go into New England, find his favorite weapons, and put up some points. Running backs, I love Jordan Howard against the New Orleans Saints. I think the only way Chicago realizes they're going to stay in this game is if they pound the rock. And Howard's been the best part about their offense so far this season. Wide receivers, I love Alshon Jeffrey this week against San Fran. Their safeties are pretty tough, but their outside corners really struggle to cover wide receivers. I think Jeffrey could be more of a focal point this week for the guy we all like this week, Carson Wentz. And I'm going with Kyle Rudolph as my tight end. Normally a guy I hate, but he's going up against the Cleveland Browns, who I love to pick on. So I think he has a good chance to find the end zone this week. They really struggle against the tight end, and they've leaned on him more without Dalvin Cook in the lineup. He's seen more targets.
That's a good cure for a player. Play the Cleveland Browns.
Guys, I don't like. Going with Matt Stafford, I've already talked about him. Don't like him against Pittsburgh. He's banged up, missing his favorite target. That's a tough Pittsburgh pass defense, much better than I thought they would be to start the year. Jerick McKinnon, even though he's playing the Cleveland Browns, I think they're I don't think he's utilized a ton here with what I expect to be a pretty heavy lead and kind of a pass funnel Browns defense that really gives up points to the opposing passing game. I think Latavius Murray is going to be a lot more involved, especially in a favorable game script. I think they can They realize that they can just give the ball to him and let him fall forward and run out the clock. DeAndre Hopkins has a tough matchup this week. He's the guy I'm fading a little bit. I see Schroeder smiling. I think he might be on his list. Yeah, what are you going to do when you go? They do line him up and all over the formation while Sherman kind of sticks to his side, but they could use him to shadow Hopkins, and definitely does him no favors in that matchup. And Jack Doyle is the guy I'm staying away from this week. I own him in a dynasty league. I'm probably going to have to play him, but I don't feel good about it against a tougher than advertised Cincinnati defense. Not really a great play this week. What about you, Schroeder?
Well, we got a couple of the same ones. Matthew Stafford, I talked on the other show about how I didn't like him. Pittsburgh has kept quarterbacks under 200 yards passing. Now, that might be the measure of some of the quarterbacks they face, but they also have a very good defense. As for running back, Carlos Hyde, temper your expectations here. He's starting to get it done through the air a little bit, so that adds a little bit of value to him. But this is a game where the 49ers are going to be behind, and they're probably going to be behind a lot. So I don't like him really running the ball. And so I would definitely stay away from DFS. In season long, you probably have to start him. DeAndre Hopkins, Joe, you already mentioned that I was kind of laughing. He is going probably against Sherman, not a good matchup. And lastly, guys, don't believe O.J. Howard. The game was – it was a 1 week aberration. Make sure to not believe it. Stay away from him. Rob?
Yes, that was an aberration. Aberration. I agree with that too. One guy you guys might disagree with me on here. I'm saying temper your expectations on Drew Brees this week. We talked about it earlier. They're running the ball more, and Chicago's defense is playing a little bit better. Looked good in that game against Carolina, a Carolina team that put up a lot of points through the air against the Philadelphia Eagles, a very good team. So, yeah, I'm kind of cooling on Brees as they start to lean on the run game more. Ingram just looks great. He looks really good. Kareem Hunt, I'm cooling on a little bit. I know the Giants were able to figure out how to run against Denver, but Denver's done very well against running backs this season. I see his production being middle of the pack. I wouldn't take him. He's always one of the top guys in DFS. I wouldn't take him this week. I think his price is way too high. You're obviously starting him if you have him in season long. Mike Evans, another guy you're starting in season long, but I'm cooling off in DFS up against a tough Carolina Panthers defense that didn't really give up anything. It was more the offense that let Chicago score. But Mike Evans, I mean, he's going to get his work, but the Panthers defense has been very excellent this season, especially against teams that maybe aren't so great. And see the Panthers pass rush getting to Jameis Winston, forcing him into some mistakes. I would temper my expectations on Evans a little bit this week. Don't live off the high. That was a week into Bills secondary. Yeah, just temper your expectations. And don't believe in Jared Cook. They're going up against Buffalo. Looks like Poyer may be back. I know O.J. Howard looked great, but nobody covered the guy on the play. So I don't see that. I think that was just a miscommunication for the Bills. I think they've done pretty well overall on the tight ends. And just don't fall for that good production. It's going to come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, you had me at don't believe in Jared Cook.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I pick on him almost every week, but this was a really good week to do it because he had a very productive week. So
sometimes you pick on Martellus Bennett.
I'd say I probably pick on him a little more, but it's close. It's pretty close. As far as some of the guys that could be a bit of a sneaky pick. Also, Joe, did you do your bet? I can't even remember if I skipped over you.
I did.
You did. Y'all had a lot of the same. That was why I was like, did we talk about that?
We're doing a snake.
Yeah, well, I mean, Joe's picks are just so bad.
Yeah, that's right. That's
my
right.
picks are like the same as yours. So, what do you know?
So for some of the guys that I'd be looking in daily fantasy or for these bye week fill-ins, Case Keenum, interesting pick. This could be his last week starting for the Vikings, but it's the Browns. And if you're really in a pinch, Keenum, he's performed pretty well against some of these bad defenses this season. So he could be a cheap option. LeGarrette Blount, I talked about him earlier. Wendell Smallwood did not look good. I don't know why they don't give the ball to LeGarrette Blount more. He's had a pretty solid season. I think they're going to notice that a little bit, even though they obviously won, but Smallwood just didn't impress. I think Blunt's going to have a bounce back. Again, San Francisco, case closed there. Jordan Matthews with the Bills, kind of easing him in, had a quiet week. I think this is the week that he's finally – I don't think Thompson is going to repeat. I think Jordan Matthews is the receiver to watch in what I think is going to be a high-scoring game, a little different. Schroeder, you think it's going to be a little more ugly, but I think it'll be high-scoring. I think Jordan Matthews will get in the end zone. He's my sleeper pick. And I said I love Jordan Reed. I love Vernon Davis, too. They're throwing to their tight ends a lot. Joe, you nailed that earlier. They're playing Dallas. Vernon Davis, at his age, still getting it done, still running downfield, able to make big plays. I like Vernon Davis as well as my sneaky pick. 2 tight ends this week, guys.
2 tight ends from the same team. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen them both be productive. So why not? I don't know about that Jordan Matthews pick. Didn't work out for me last week, but I agree with you. I think he's still locked into what should be a nice target share as he gets more and more healthy. My quarterback, I went with Andy Dalton this week. He's a guy who you might be down on after a bad week against Pittsburgh, but he plays that pass funnel Colts defense that's really giving up a ton of points to quarterbacks. I think he bounces back this week, finds A.J. Green his favorite target, gets it done. Went with Wendell Smallwood as a sneaky play at running back. For whatever reason, Philadelphia seems intent on giving him the football, and he plays against the terrible 49ers defense. I think he has an opportunity to get going early, and if not have an amazing day, because they don't really seem content to use any one guy, that he could have some early value. Kenny Stills is a sneaky play I like this week. He showed good chemistry with Matt Moore, who really looked for him late in that game when he came in, able to hook up for a couple touchdowns. Maybe that continues this week against Baltimore. And I'm back on Nick O'Leary after I took him in the DraftKings Millionaire Maker last week, and it did not work out for me. Oakland has struggled to cover tight ends this year so far. Navarro Bowman really hasn't fixed that, though he has improved their defense a little bit in the middle. I'm rolling him out there as a possible streamer this week, maybe in more of a $1 cash game for DraftKings or tournament play, but not really those Millionaire Maker lineups again for me.
High roller there, Joe, with those $1.
All right, for quarterback, sneaky Tyrod Taylor. He gets Oakland, and the guy can run, which is, as long as he consistently does that, he can put up fantasy value. Running back, Rob already mentioned it, LeGarrette Blount. Apparently, we all love the Eagles running backs as one of our sneaky plays. One of them is going to do good. I think it's going to be LeGarrette Blount this week. At wide receiver, I'm going to go ahead and say Adam Thielen. He's their main receiving target, and the way you beat Cleveland is through the air and through their pathetic offense, really. So But through the air, they actually do a good job of stopping the run. So I can see Adam Thielen having a nice game. And for my tight end, I'm going to go ahead and take Tyler Kroft. The guy has really stepped into the role, the tight end role, and he's getting thrown to quite a bit. He's getting a few targets, and I like his chances of scoring a touchdown this game.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for listening in. Any final thoughts? Any last guys that you want to throw out there as someone who could have a big game? I do have one before I go. There's a guy you might not have heard of. His name is Antonio Brown. I would recommend starting him. I think he's going to have a good week.
Yeah, Antonio Brown. I have one thing to say, just a thought for the audience on if you do FanDuel or DraftKings. I tried a new strategy out, taking 2 tight ends in DraftKings. Tight ends generally go for a really low price. A lot of times at the league minimum, sometimes they go low. I got Evan Ingram for $4,000 when some receivers who are kind of like I think Terrell Pryor was going for more than that. So I really think I might be onto something here with the daily fantasy, going with 2 tight ends as a cheaper option and then spending more money on some of the bigger names like Bell and Zeke Elliott. Just a thought, though.
I've done it multiple times. It's worked out for me a couple times.
All right,
guys. Well, thanks for listening in. Please go ahead and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also email us your questions at ffanonymous3@gmail.com or tweet us at ffanonymous3. For me, Rob, Joe, thanks for listening in, and we'll see you next week. Remember, stay addicted.